Franklin Padmore. Prof. Thank you, guys. Thank you for helping us out with our anniversary, our 35th anniversary. Ashe. All right. Well, thank you all, brothers, for that drumming. It was amazing how they could stay still and play that drum. Now, sisters and brothers, a daughter, a child of Wosay, Sister Shambalia Gaskin Sam will come and give us a welcome today. Step in. Step in.
Good morning, Wosay family.
Good morning.
Hey, I'm Arahatep.
Uncle Johnson there.
So welcome to Wosay Sacramento's 35th anniversary, 35 years of history, 35 years of transition, 35 years of celebrations. Within these 35 years, Wosay Sacramento has cultivated and grounded myself and my family in our Blackness, our Africanness, and in our spirituality. It was approximately 33 years ago, and just FYI, I am 37 now, be 38 next month. It was 33 years ago when my family, more specifically my mommy, would hurry us down this bluish gray corridor with these whitewashed walls to make sure that we entered the doors of Wosay, Oakland on time. We had to make sure that we was there to see Baba Ustadi open up the door and either shh, because the circle has already started, or hurry up and come in, you're gonna be right on time for Biko class. 2 years after that, specifically, January 13th, 1990, because we celebrated Shingrai's first birthday when we moved to Sacramento. My parents packed up 810 East 23rd Street, East Oakland, and headed down that freeway to Sacramento, where my mommy continued the tradition of hurrying us into the car to make sure that we made it into the doors of the theater on Stockton Boulevard, make sure we made it into the doors of the old bank in Oak Park, and made sure that we made it through the doors of Ator. Inside these 33 years, we were blessed with so much. If it was Wednesday night classes, if it was Baba Tashaka blessing us with these magnificent stories, if it was Sister Leslie ensuring that we were right on time with schedule with the worship service, supported by Brother Ben Harrell, or if it was Brother Ed in the back to greet us every time we walked through the door. Brother Charles and Brother Allen would make sure that the voices of my aunt were always in tune, and made sure that we was in tune, led by Mariana. We learned the power of how to center ourselves in prayer by Brother Bolton and Sister Grace. And I still remember to this day, we would sit there as youth and we'd be like, oh, Brother Bolton's about to pray. And we'd be like, okay, we gotta listen. But yet we were youth, so we were like, oh gosh, Brother Bolton's about to pray. But it wasn't until we got older that we realized how both Brother Bolton and Sister Grace was teaching us how to be still, to be able to hear our voices when we're trying to connect with our ancestors, with our spirituality. It was Kwanzaa's every year, which was like the esteemed event and fashion show of Sacramento. Everybody knew that Wosay Sacramento was about to drop Kwanzaa. That's when we came out there decked out in the dopest of African attire. My mommy would make sure that she would sit at the sewing machine, and she made all these beautiful red, black, and green sashes for the Watoto. And we had this coordinated performance every single Kwanzaa service. That was something to be seen. The fact of the matter that through Kwanzaa, Wosay Sacramento made history by being the first to be televised to talk about the beauty of Kwanzaa in Northern California. And every year we will be decked out in our red, black, and green sashes, and we will be on television at the television station on time because Sister Valeria says so. And because Sister Sheila, who was then working at PBS, we had to make sure we made that she looked good. As Waitoto, we grew up in Sacramento. We used to run races in front of the old, bank. And we used to be out there having a good time. And Brother Klein would sit there and encourage our shenanigans. It was myself, Allende, Michael, Farai, Camille, Deshawn, while the older Waitoto, Mariana, Cecily, Jamal, Karinaga, all of them would just look at us and just be like, listen, little kids. We learned about music, we learned about dance, we learned about our culture at Woze. We were excited to rush to church on Mother's Day just to hear Baba Hotep sing Respect to the Mothers by
Maccabee.
Thank you. I was about to say Mutabaruka for some reason. If it wasn't Mother's Day, it was Black History Month, because we were so excited to hear Baba Hotep sing Proud That We're Black. It gave us such regal pride whenever we would go to different events throughout Sacramento, and we will always see a member of Woze doing something phenomenal. If it was Baba Hotep educating all of Sacramento about who we are, where we come from, and the importance of us making sure that we understand that our Blackness is not by accident, it's on purpose. If it is Brother Damani and Brother Hightower coming up with the most grandest ideas to make sure we had sustainable income coming through the church, if it's us doing bingo, or if it was some other phenomenal idea, if it was the retreats that we would have at Mount Shasta, if it was the Amber-Simbi rites of passage that were led by Sister Aisha, Woze Sacramento grounded us in who we are. Woze Sacramento is responsible for the reason why we all became, as youth and now adults, phenomenal musicians, phenomenal educators. The reason why I myself, as well as my little sister, chose to go to historically Black colleges, Shaw University. Shameless plug. Shaw University and Shingarai went down the street in South Carolina to Benedict College. We would step on that campus, and still to this day, my classmates always be like, yeah, you know, Chambalia, she's, you know, the Afrocentric hippie from Sacramento. And I will always sit there and tell them, well, you know, y'all got to come to California and really see where my Afrocentrism came from. We were present in everything that was happening in Sacramento. If it was African Liberation Day, if it was Black Family Day, if it was Malcolm X Day, we were present. It was
the Banana Festival.
The Banana Festival. You know what? I was in college when the Banana Festival happened, but Mommy always made sure to remind me of the Banana Festival, to remind me how much I am missing out on chilling in North Carolina. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Jambi, I don't want to stop your enthusiasm. I love that you're recounting everything so beautifully and magnificently. And we love and revere the memory of your mom. And she was an integral part of our development, and certainly yours too. We thank you for giving us such a greeting and an history lesson. Let me not cut you off, but
wrap it up.
All right.
Absolutely. And it's a good thing because I was right on time to wrap it up.
All right.
So with that being said, Woze Sacramento in 35 years have planted a seed. They have continued to pour into us without really realizing or knowing how far we have branched out. Wose Sacramento has made it possible for us to feel a family home when we're away from our home. Wose Sacramento, I honor you. I celebrate you. I thank you for being present in our lives. And I'll end by saying, I never forget when I was packing up and leaving to go to college. And the one thing my mommy said, do you have your Wose phone list? If anything happens and you can't get in contact with us, make sure you have your Wose phone list. And it still says right there, South Sacramento, Cush Circle. And that phone list which I still have to this day, represents what 35 years of Wose Sacramento, what Wose as a whole, both Oakland and Sacramento, represents to myself, to the Watoto that grew up through the church and through the entire Wose family. So congratulations on us meeting 35 years. I'm excited to be present for the next 35 years. And I love, 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 love everyone immensely. And I thank you.
Oh, we thank you. Let's take up a collection now. That was outstanding. Outstanding welcome and recollection of the last 35 years. Give thanks and praise to Sister Shambalia. Now, a mother-daughter team is coming forward. You know, this is before spoken word became popular. So the time now in our services for historical tribute, we've already had some historical tributes as we're going along. And so we're going to have the mother-daughter duo. They have this book here, and it's called Taking Names, Important Fingers. They also have a book, it's called Crucial Comments and Vicious Rhymes. This Queendom Come. I'm so happy that you need to unmute yourself, Stajaba. I'm so happy that Stajaba and Sanana are coming on. Straight Out Scribes gives us some of your top ranking poetry.
Mind check, 1, 2.
Mind check, 1, 2.
Mind check, 1, 2.
Mind check, 1, 2.
Mind check. This is a
mind check. This is a mind check. Check out your mind check. Check out your mind
check. This is a
mind check. This is a mind check. Check out your mind check. Check out your mind
check. This is a
mind check. This is a mind check. Check out your mind check. Check out your mind. Check it out now. Have you seen your mind lately?
I'm going to start a revolution.
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 I'm going to start a revolution in my soul.
I'm going to seize control of all I have within me.
Anything to make me
whole
or
high
or both. I'm going to start a revolution.
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 I'm going to start a revolution in my soul.
Greetings, my name is Stajabu.
I'm Dr. V.S. Chochezi.
And together we're known as the Mother-Daughter Poetry Team, celebrating 30 years as
Straight Out Scribes.
And we're here to share some positive vibes with you. And we want to tell you we have books. Our newest book is Caledonia's Daughters and Mudcloth Roots.
And
go ahead.
I'm going to read from Mudcloth Roots, a poem that comes out of Africa from my trip to Tanzania. And I encountered this bird. And they later told me it was a pigeon, but I never heard a pigeon sound like this. It sounded like this. It said, "Arututu tudu, arututu, arututu tudu, arututu," and it started giving me words. It was like, if you would just listen, if you would just listen, if you would just listen, if you would just listen. Mother Earth is speaking. Her messages are clear. If you would just listen, if you could just hear, if you would just listen, she's sending a warning with global warming, rain, floods, drought, signs of pain, tsunamis, tornadoes, blizzards, and hurricanes. She's begging, she's pleading, stop the madness, stop the insanity, stop the wars and destruction, cease the vanity, save humanity. If you would just listen, if you would just hear, her messages are clear. Cease killing for oil, stop destroying the soil, underground nuclear testing, satellites in space, disrupting the Earth's natural balance and pace. If you would just listen, if you could just hear, the ancestors are near. They're trying hard to get through to you. If you would just listen. They're shouting, they're whispering in bird song and cricket calls. Hear me, 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 hear me.
Thank you, V.S. Dr. V.S. Chochezi. Indigo, maroon, eggplant, black. Midnight, ebony, mahogany, black. Sepia, rusty, dusty, black. Take our land back. Brown, tan, chestnut, black. Red bone Creole, brown skin, black. Indian, African, Chicano, black. Take our land back. Orabelle, Norabelle, Sweetie Belle, black. Cheo, Coffee, Stotty, black. Jenny, Prairie, Baby Girl, black. Take our land back. Be overstand, lend a hand, respect, black. Be aware, give or care, respect, black. Love to be black, you and me, black. Take our land back. Yes. Ensconced in adjectives.
Words are powerful.
Encased in metaphors.
Words can inspire, motivate, arouse, create imagery,
encapsulated
paint
in
pictures,
intonations,
spark ideas.
engulfed in body language
Words
and
can
escapades of
last
escapism.
forever.
Words.
In the beginning, there was the word.
Words from lipstick,
Words can
mustachioed,
fly,
mundane
soar,
mouths
and
that
sing.
speak the only
Words
lies they
are
ever knew.
mighty.
Words.
Words can stick in your throat, fall flat, and die. Words can hurt, hit, and hate. Words can lie.
Words are
Words
an
can
eyesore.
imitate, annoy,
Graffiti
mock,
on the soul,
cheer, whine,
pollution
shout,
to the
yell,
spirit,
scream,
garbage
denigrate,
coloring up
and
the mind.
dismiss. Goodbye.
Words.
Words can love, flirt, seal the deal, I do, I say. Words create bonds.
The regurgitation of all the meaningless, misguided madness of
words live. Words are chameleons. Words can change
like countless human species since the beginning. Words.
Words exist. Words can be.
Tongues,
there are
teeth,
plenty of words, and when words don't work,
bearded chins
we
and
make up new ones.
Provide the
words are born. Words can hide, mask, exaggerate, distract, deceive, destroy, radiate negativity, echo negativity, stifle creativity,
that allowed
will never
what one
amount
felt to be
anything.
spoken. Aloud, words mean nothing. Silent, they mean everything.
And even with all that words are and can be, words alone are not enough. Words.
Give thanks for that. Straight out scribes. Love it.
I wear my blackness like a badge, and I'm not mad. Even though somebody spent a lot of time, energy, and money to keep me loving others and hating myself. Tried to keep my history buried deep, but now I know enough to wear my blackness like an honor badge, and I wear nappy like a crown. And it doesn't require you to frown. See, I took nappy in and made it my friend. Some would have me think nappy a bad, bitter, twisted, nasty word, but nappy I will be, because nappy gives me a nice piece of free, and ain't nobody taking my nappy from me. I wear my hair nappy like a crown. I wear gap teeth with a smile wide for the world to see. Just because somebody defined beauty as straight, you want me to go pay big money for braces, but I'm not straightening my hair, my nose, or my teeth, because my teeth talk and chew just fine, and they are the way that my ancestors were designed to pass them on down to me. Yeah, I wear gap teeth with a smile. And I don't expect that to make you happy, but I'll be me naturally with a nice piece of free, happily so. If you don't like what you see, please don't go feeling sorry for me. I am a true black, nappy, gap tooth queen.
Let's close out.
Okay.
Yes,
Closing out with a huru sasa. Huru sasa sa 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 sa. Huru sasa sa 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 sa. Huru sasa sa 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 sa. Huru sasa sa sa sa. Huru sasa sa 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 sa sa. Promote to
Together we will win,
because the sight of you feeds my
and
spirit.
puts the mojo in my mouth.
Oh, let me inhale your powers.
Let me bathe in your warm vibration.
Uhuru be our rap.
Liberation be our song.
Free up the land is what we demand.
Stay strong, my people, stay strong.
Uhuru, uhuru.
Africa, uhuru.
Uhuru sasa, uhuru sasa. Africa, uhuru sasa. Uhuru sasa, sasa, sasa. Uhuru sasa, sasa, sasa. Uhuru sasa, sasa, sasa. Uhuru sasa, sasa, sasa. Uhuru means freedom.
Sasa means
Now. Thank you, everybody. Congratulations.
Oh, beautiful.
Ashe.
Oh, oh, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, I love the Straight Out Scribes. We go back many years. Now we're going to have lovely Wose. And you know that Wose goes back more than 5,000 years. Some people call it Waset. Dr. Ben called it Wa'at. There is a tribe in Ghana, part of the Akan tribal clans. There is a tribe called Waso, of which Dr. Nana Banchi Dakwar said that they came from Egypt. So it is a very important name. It is an important movement. The name means scepter or seat of authority. And we are here celebrating the 35th anniversary of Wose Oakland's daughter, sister, Wose Sacramento. We give thanks and praise. We have a great fundraiser. He's been a fundraiser for a long time within our movement. And I asked him to come forward and to lead us in the litany of sacrifice. Brother Damani, would you step in, please, sir?
Hello, good morning, everybody. I love your beautiful spirits. I can feel everyone's spirits, and good to be here on Wose's 35th anniversary. I just like to say two quick things. For the Nguzo Saba to be fulfilled requires our collective financial sacrifice of time, talent, and resources. And on Ili Ome Day, I often think about the sacrifices that was made by the director, the teachers, the administrators, the parents, all involved. The sacrifices they made, giving up lucrative careers they could have taken in corporate America and followed their conscience for the benefit of our children.
Yeah.
And that's so inspired me. You know, I donate $40 a month myself to Ili Ome Day, and so I just like to encourage everybody to donate to Ili Ome Day and keep it going. And I'd like to say one more thing. I was attending Evangel Temple Church in Washington, D.C. back in 1988. And when it came time for tithing, it came time for tithing. You had over 1,500 people in the service. They had two services, 1,500 people in the service rose to their feet. And for about 3 minutes, they let out a thunderous applause. They was jumping up and down, running down the aisle. They was happy to give their sacrifices to build what they considered was the kingdom of God. And so I say the same thing. You know, we got to think about building the kingdom of Amun-Ra. Why not? And also they was giving their financial resources to support the many outreach ministries and programs of the church to the surrounding community. But what happened, they had a boomerang effect. The church started, when they had created more outreach programs, the church grew. And so currency was released. And so when we, money is currency. And so when that currency is released, it creates programs, and then it rebounds and it comes back and it grows the church. And so the same thing I like to say with the Panther programs, Panther survival programs. I would like to see those come back. I would like to be involved with bringing some of those programs back, and I think that would help Wose Sacramento regrow again. And anyway, with that, we'll move on to the litany of sacrifice. On the screen, okay. A litany of sacrifice. Save us, O Holy One, by your name. Vindicate us by your might. Hear my prayer, divine protector. Listen to the words of my mouth. How can we repay the Holy One for the gifts that have been given to us? We will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the God of our ancestors. We will fulfill our vows to our Creator in the presence of all our people. Gladly we bring our sacrifices to you. We praise your name, O Amun-Ra, for it is good.
It's coming.
Okay. Oh boy. Okay, keep going back and forth. Okay, Yamojo, unity. We should strive to maintain unity in family, community, nation, and race. Kukujagalea, self-determination. We shall define, name, create, and speak for ourselves. Yajima, collective work and responsibility. We should build and maintain our communities together, and our brothers and sisters' problems shall be ours to solve together. Ujamaa. Yeah, Ujamaa. A cooperative economics. Together we shall build and maintain our own businesses, and together profit from them. Okay. Nia. Purpose. We shall make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community and the restoration of our people to our traditional greatness. Kaumba, creativity. We should do as much as we can in any way that we can to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited. Altogether, Imani, faith. We should believe in all our hearts. Oh boy, I should know it by heart. We should believe.
We should believe with all our hearts in our God, in our people, and in the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, sisters and brothers, I think it's going to come back on the screen. You can see where you will be able to donate. And as Brother Damani has said, he's seen people that are from other faiths and how inspired they were to give, to make their movement, to make their congregation better serve the community. And so that's what we're asking today. We're asking this in the name of the Sacred African Way. And he talked about the sacrifices that the staff of Ile-Omide make. And I would like to remind everyone that none of the ministers are paid, that all the monies that are collected go into the facilitation of our church, building, etc. So give thanks and praise for your donations, and we thank you for being so diligent and keeping us afloat and keeping us thriving throughout this year and throughout this awful season of pandemic. And our next speaker is coming forward from New York. I want to read just a little bit about him. He's an educator in the Bronx, New York. He sat at the feet of the elders, Dr. John Heinrich Clark and Dr. Ben Yakinen, who informed his intellectual foundation. After receiving his degree in international politics, he went on to achieve not one, but 2 master's degrees. He became the staff developer at the Harriet Tubman Charter School in Bronx, New York, built an African-centered academy named Per Ankh, or House of Life, and opened a second Afrocentric school in Boston. He was recently featured in the documentary series called Hidden Colors. This brother is a dear person to me, even though we've just met a couple of times. He spoke in Wose, Sacramento at the Marcus Garvey Festival. Sisters and brothers, open your hearts, open your ears to hear the words of brother, Professor Kaba, Hiawatha, Kamene. Step in, brethren.
Hotep to my brother, Imhotep Al-Kibalan. Thank you so much for this opportunity and for all who are part of this celebration, this phenomenal celebration, 35 years. I know somebody doing a whole bunch of things right. 35 years is a long time to be dedicated. And as I was listening to Brother Damani speak about the exuberance in the church and in temples and places where people are freely giving their money, I thought about Dr. Amos Wilson, a brilliant psychologist who told us that a good organization meets its people's needs and solves its people's problems. And as we go through our history, we can see that from Daddy Grace to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to Marcus Mosiah Garvey, these organizations solved the people's problems and met their needs, the basic ones. And that is where we have to go with this. And when I look at what organizations do and what they accomplish, Wose has been on the forefront of this type of activity. Wose should be financially in a place where they can expand and begin to develop their program and their thoughts, because we have to get back to who we are as a people. And when I was speaking to my brother Imhotep about what he would like me to talk about, we talked about just talking about Wose, Waset, Wa'at. I never get caught up in names and words. I do realize the importance of words. But at the same time, I also understand that there are many different ways of expressing something. And as long as we're all on the same page, that we know what we're talking about. And when I think of Waset, Wose, I think of Dr. Asa Hilliard, and I think of his name, Nana Before Amantwakia. When I think of it, I think of Egypt Revisited. In fact, I have the book right here, Egypt Revisited, from page 211 to 238, where he spoke about Waset. His essay's titled Waset, the Eye of Ra and the Abode of Ma'at, the pinnacle of Black leadership in the ancient world. And in the book that I wrote, Spirituality Before Religions, I quoted a particular area because I felt it spoke for the entire concept, because what we're doing, what Wose is doing, Brother Imhotep is doing, what Brother Manu Ampim is doing, what all of the brothers and sisters are doing is laying the foundation, one of the cornerstones to the African society. And when I say that, I mean continent-wide, but I also recognize the different nations that make up the continent. one of the things that the generation of the workers, let's say between the ages of 18, 19, 20, to close to eldership, up to 65, those that went out and worked, their entire purpose was to advance the next generation. Everything they did was to make the next generation better than them, to give them the foundations of the principles of life, and to examine this and to talk to you about how I attempted to develop an educational system. I call it teaching to the inventor's mind. When I taught math or science or language arts, whatever subject I taught it to the children shaped in the form of how can you make what I'm telling you better? Even if it's a mathematical equation, it could be something dealing with physics or chemistry. How can you make it better? It's not just about you learning this. That's not what's the cornerstone. It's now that you know it, what are you going to do with it? And this was the cornerstone of the scholarship at the IPET, which, again, we have different names for it. We can call it the Grand Lodge of Luxor, if you'd like, and we can call the Matching Temple Karnak, or we can call it Ipet Isut. And as generations go on and they do their research, they'll come up with better words. They'll come up with more accurate words that describe this. Right now, we are in the process of study and developing and understanding and returning back to a core. So that what I recognized that I felt that I thought was important about Wose, and I'll call it Wose so that we can get a fundamental understanding. But I'm going to call it what Dr. Hilliard called it, just so we can understand. So when I say Waset, I mean Wose. In describing what he calls this magnificent capital, Dr. Hilliard, Nana before says, during the time of King Amenhotep III and Queen Tai, the city, Waset, Wose, had a population of 1 million out of a nation of 4 million people. Now, when I'm talking to children in classrooms, I have to stop there and ask them, what does that tell you? You're dealing with a city of 1 million people out of a Kemetic nation of 4 million people. And I'm sure there probably were more, according to how you define the boundaries of Kemet. But that tells you that that was a thriving city. That tells you there was a lot of things going on. Waset today hosts the remains of the finest temples of the ancient world. The southern Ipet, Luxor Temple, and Ipet Isut, the Karnak Temple. Both of these magnificent temples, which served as both religious and educational institutions, were built almost entirely in the Grand Golden Age, which would be considered the New Kingdom. Waset is located nearly 400 miles directly south from Cairo. Waset was also referred to in ancient times as Nut, N-I-W-T, which he defines as the city. The Greeks renamed it Thebe, or Thebes. The Arabs called it Luxor, L'-O-U-Q-S-O-R, meaning the palaces. The name was further Europeanized to Luxor. But just in examining what I just read to you, it says a lot, because Waset was a geographic location that was very important geometrically. The one thing I've studied in our ancestors is that whatever they did, they had multiple reasons for doing it. They just didn't do it for any reason at all. When you talk about economics, we study the word economics, and echo comes from the Greek word, of course. It's not Greek, but for argument's sake, I'm just going to say that. We know that Greek came directly out of the African experience. And we realize that. But in order to speak to our people, those that may not be of the knowledge, we have to somehow bridge the gap. And so I tend to bridge the gap because that's a reality. So that when you're looking at the way in which they developed their civilization, and when you look at the way in which they developed their words, you begin to see that everything that they did, when they talked about the Twin Towers, when they talked about the matching, when they talked about the place of two palaces, the fact that they would connect those two tells us that there was a connection between the Ipet Isut, or Karnak, and Ipet, which was the Grand Lodge. There was a connection between the religious and the educational. I'm always concerned about religion. I'm always concerned about when we use that word as it relates to African people, because of the nature of how we see our people looking towards their practice of life. Religion is organized spirituality. Religion, from my research, is the children of spirituality. And so when we look at this, we see that Karnak and Luxor as a city, the Ipet, were all connected. The fact that they would say the place of two palaces meant that they saw a connection between the two, and there was a connection. In fact, there was during the time, because if you go back to Kemet now, if you go to Wose, you'll drive in a street that will cut through an avenue of sphinxes that once connected both Karnak, which for the city, if we're thinking city-wise, they're blocks apart. They're not close to each other. But there were ram-headed sphinxes that connected these two grand temples. And what was developed and what was understood was the fact that these temples being connected, it was a medical center, it was an educational center, it was a place where they offered to the Amen, the different concepts of whatever it was that they were celebrating. This was the history of Wose, 1 million people. And out of 4 million, so it tells us that a quarter of the population lived in Wose, which tells you it had to have been a very important city. These are the kinds of things that I like to break down in my thought process, because this is what tells us of the power of the people, the power of what it was that they were doing in this area. And they ensured that those temples were well taken care of. They made sure that whatever it was that was needed in that temple was given. And it was done, as Brother Damani was saying, it was done with a feeling of celebration. It was done like they weren't worried about why they were doing it. They weren't doing it begrudgingly. They were excited about it because they understood that their support of what they were doing was in support of themselves. They saw the reflection, which goes back to Dr. Amos Wilson, who says that a good organization solves its people's problems and meets its people's needs. And so the great challenge is that one family or one person or whatever it was, whatever they may have had, somebody else would come in to support that issue, which meant that they realized the concept of, you're not going to be a sun every day. You see, the sun has light, has shine, but the moon has the reflection of the sun's light. So you have sunshine and moonlight. We realized as an African people, every day we may not be the sun. So if we are the sun one day and we shine on a moon, maybe in the future when we are a moon and they are the sun, they will remember our shine and they will shine on us. So as a community, we understood the collectiveness And this is what was going on in Wose. Economics comes from a so-called Greek word oikos, which means environment. Economics isn't money. Economics is understanding your environment. As an agricultural people, as agrarian people, the land was very important to us. So we saw our wealth in the respect that we gave to the land, because the land blessed us with all of the foods and all of the great things that we would get. And in Wose, as an organization, there has to be the same type of understanding placed in Wose in terms of the support to go on for the next 35 years. And then for the next 35 years, because our ancestors built for eternity. When you look at what they did, when you look at what we're experiencing today, when we are living in a place that is scaffolded to death, it is obvious that the buildings of the Western civilization were not meant to stay up for a long time. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to do all this repairing and infrastructure. When you look at Wose, Wose was a city. When I went there in 83 and 87, and I, in fact, in 83, I went with Dr. Ben to Kamene. 1984, I went to Mexico with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. And while I was in Mexico, my reading material was The Temple and Man by Schwaller de Lubitz. And that book blew my mind in terms of the scope and depth of the thinkers. Man, I want to have a conversation with some of these people. Because where their mind was, I would just want to ask them, what was on your mind when you realized that you could build a 7 to 8 block building in the direct proportions of the human body, and then explain the functions of the body carved on the walls? And where the reproductive organ is, as it relates to the building, you had carved a sperm cell on the wall. Well, how did you see that sperm cell? Everybody talking about you didn't have microscopes, but well, if you didn't have microscopes, you see, the thing is that when they try to, for instance, when they talk about what built the pyramids, and they say that like the stone was put in 2 different types of heat, which meant that they could carve the stone because it was heated and then it was cooled, and that threw the stone off of its ability, so they could carve these massive stones like this. They want us to believe this. When you look at the pyramids, when you look at the temple in Wose, there had to have been some high-powered technology there. And for them to try to make it seem like it was done in primitive ways makes me say that even if they did it the way you say they did it, they would be more advanced than if they had the technology that I think they had. Because for them to be able to construct that, when you look at the way those temples look, it is said that even the Ipet-Isut, Karnak, that is such a massive temple. And I was there. I've seen that temple. It takes a long time to even walk through it. If they were to have done what they said they did, you can fit all of the cathedrals in the world in the middle of this temple at Karnak and still have room. That's how huge they built. Not only that, but in the building of Karnak alone, they utilized a mathematical principle known as what we today call the Fibonacci series, which means that in the number series, you add the preceding numbers to get the next one. So you start with 0 and 1, and then you go from that number, from 0, and then you have 1, And then you have 1 and 1, you have 2. And then you have 2 and 1, you have 3. So the Fibonacci series is a series of numbers. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. Karnak was built in that, using that mathematical formula. And at the same time it was doing that, it literally was showing the birth of a human being as it related to the body growth, the physical growth. Whereas the matching temple that is matching Karnak, which is in Luxor, the Ipet, is an educational institution. It is huge. There's a part in the temple that you can't open both doors. You can only open one door at a time, the way they constructed it. And you say, well, what part of the body would that represent? That part of the body represented your epiglottis, in your throat. When you choke, when you're eating something, you say it went down the wrong pipe. Well, that's because when you should have been breathing, food was going down, or vice versa. The epiglottis has to close when you breathe, and then it has to close a different way when you're swallowing. And that's how they were able to demonstrate in that temple. When you go into this temple, there's an area in the temple that is different from any other part of the temple. There's nothing like it anywhere in the temple. You say to yourself, well, what part of the body would that be? It represented your kneecaps, because your kneecap is the only thing attached to your body that is not attached to your body. Your kneecaps are not attached. That's how you can move them around the way you do. They are there because of the skin keeps it there. They're there because of that, but they basically are not attached to your actual body. There's cartilage that connects that. That's why folk get such problems with their knees, because that cartilage breaks down and is just bone to bone. The point I'm making is that our ancestors were geniuses. And they just did not come by it. They came by all this wisdom and knowledge through trial and error. And it's important as we move forward and we understand what Wose was and what it developed for us as a people. Family, we can do this again. In fact, we're doing it as we speak. In fact, Brother Imhotep and those that have been with him, you've been doing it for 35 years. Don't get it twisted. Black folk are in a much better position than we were years ago. Not because anybody gave us a break. That's very important to understand. We made this happen. The history made this happen. There was sacrifice that was put out, even to the point of putting your life on the line for your children and for those that you would never even know would be born. This is what we come from as a people. We understand what has to happen in our communities. As educators, those of us who have been in the classroom, we know what our young brothers and sisters need. And I'm on a crusade for teachers. I'm on a crusade for encouraging brothers to become teachers. My original license is in early childhood. I was a kindergarten teacher. I'm on a crusade to get brothers to become kindergarten teachers and first grade teachers. Because what I can tell you about my experiences, and I could write a book on how many children said to me, "You look like my daddy. I wish you were my daddy. Can I call you daddy?" To which my response was, "I am your daddy." Because that's the African tradition. The African tradition is that every elder in the community is your baba and every elder woman is your mama. That was just the way it was done. And we saw them. When I taught children, I saw them as my children. I spoke to them like they were my children. I loved them like they were my children. And even later in life, when I had my own children, I wanted the same thing for the children that I taught that I wanted for my own biological children. Of course, my biological children, my loved ones, okay. But I still wanted the best for the children that I taught. And this is how teachers have to look at children. And this is what Wose was. Wose was a temple of genius. When you look at the temples, and when you look at the way they were structured with a purpose. They weren't just built to be built. They were built with a purpose. And so, Brother Imhotep, and to all those who have supported you all these years, man, I just want to tell you how proud I am of the work that you've done and what you've achieved and what you continue to achieve. 35 years, brother, it's a long time to be dedicated to something. And we all know the challenges that we may not know the challenges, but we know there were challenges, but yet still you rose. That's what Wose was. Wose had to be built. And it had to be built in a natural progression using things like the Fibonacci series, using things like high mathematics and physics and science. And so this is Wose. This is what you represent. This is what you're doing. And to all those who are members of Wose, I commend you for your tenacity to stick with and to recognize what a good thing is and what a place is. And go back to the fact that every good organization, as Dr. Amos Wilson tells us, solves its people's problems and meets its people's needs. And right now, as we are going through this, you see, folk, pandemic, you talking about pandemic? Black folk live with a pandemic over 400 years. We've been in virus. We've been in a virus for 400 years, if not more than that. We know how to handle this pandemic. The fact that we're still here tells you. But can't you see how nature is calling us? I mean, this is such a spiritual experience, what's happening right now to me. The stars have crossed. One of the worst health pandemics has hit the human family around the world. Not a shot fired, not a bomb dropped, and nature got everybody in their house. Even the Atlanta housewives are at home right now. So you know that's got to be deep. Everybody's at home. Not a bomb dropped, not a shot fired. It's like Mother Nature when the children are acting up in the house, because, you know, there is the return of the Black Cosmic Mother. She is on her way back. In fact, she's right. She's almost here. But you see, Mother Nature say, before my mother comes, I got to get my house in order. And y'all been acting up for the past 5,000 years since some of y'all came out those mountains of Europe. Y'all been acting up, and you got to get your thing together. But the children keep acting up. And all of a sudden, mama say, don't make me get up out this chair. They still act up. Mama come, deal with the situation. Everybody's in their room. Everybody's talking about looking for a vaccine so that we can get out of this. There's no vaccine. That's like you coming out your room too soon and your mama beat you again because she told you, listen, you don't decide when you're coming out the room. I'll tell you when you're coming out the room, and you're not ready to come out right now. That's what you see happening right now all around the world. This is a call from, the earth is cleansing itself now. The earth is tired of what has been going on this planet. And I believe that the Wose has the ability to attract those members who are here to do what's necessary. We got to clean up our house. We may not have dirtied it, but when somebody dirties a house, if you in it, you're going to get caught up in it also. My daddy used to always say, you may not be of trash, but if you put your hand in the trash can, you're going to smell like it. So we have to get ourselves together. We have to support the Wose Temple. We have to support what Brother Imhotep and the staff of Wose is doing, because this is our way out. And I just want to tell you what an honor it is for me to have been able to share this time with you. I am honored that you would consider the work that I'm doing that valuable that you would invite me to be here to talk to you. And family, the more I study our history, the more I love our people and respect us. We have been through so much, and yet still we smile, and still we rise. You know we have a divine purpose on this planet. We have been brought here to free the land. So keep on keeping on, family. It ain't over till we win. Hotep, Uncle Johnson.
Life, prosperity, and health to you, Kaba. Thank you so much for those guiding words of history, of experience, of a call to educate and a call to uplift. I knew what I was doing when I asked you to speak. I know that you're a man of deep conviction, deep study, and deep thought. And I'm glad that you brought your experience to our services today, and it's being recorded, and I know that people will heed your words again and again. Life, prosperity, and health to you. Nedger Ek, peace and light to you. Shay. I'm so appreciative of that brother that just spoke, and I've only met him in the flesh one time. We met at the Garvey Festival, and I bought his book on on Leo Hansberry. And anyway, you heard what he said. It was a great and powerful message. And now I'm going to introduce my dear friend, Sister Donna Clemens. She's a traveler, and she's a very meaningful and purposeful person, and she's going to extend an invitation to you all today. Sister Donna, step in. Unmute yourself, please.
I did. I forgot to unmute myself. I'm sorry.
All right.
Greetings, family. How's everybody doing today? I'm sending virtual hugs to everybody. Brother Emotep knows I'm a hugger, so I'm sending you my hugs. Sorry, my tears too. I thank you, Brother Kaba, for that wonderful, wonderful message. Egypt is amazing. I've been there, walked the lands that you spoke of, and it is truly amazing. So I thank you for that. Right now, we want to extend an invitation to all those who have heard the message, who want to become a part of the WOSE family. If you are here, you're still here, you're listening, it's time to go ahead and join your voices and put your name into the chat box and reach out and speak out. There will definitely be someone there to assist you to understand who we are as African people, to understand where we come from, because we are so disconnected from who we are. It's time to go home. It's time to reconnect. It's time to understand and to come back to who we are as African people. So make sure you put your name in the box. There will definitely be someone to reach out to you. Thank you so much.
Ashe. Give thanks. I see Baba Sydney there. I know he's brimming. You know, he has so much energy. I can feel it through the screen. I know that he's. Give thanks. So right now, I wanna invite Minister Alicia. This is the time for reflections today. Minister Alicia is going to give us some words of reflection, and then those that follow, if you could just keep your remarks to under a minute, that would be great. Actually, I think Darnice, you're going to have the video first, right? Let's have that.
Yes, I've got it ready.
All right, let's have that, and then Minister Alicia, and then we'll have people talk.
say hey to mom.
All right. Minister Alicia.
Greetings, family. That was a very emotional video. It was very beautiful. So, you know, Wose is a wonderful and beautiful place to me. You know, I always tell the story about how I came to Wose. Um, I just believe it was divine. It was divine inspiration. It was divine time. I know that, you know, there were several interactions that I had with Wose members and didn't know that the Most High was setting my feet on this path. So I've been living in Sacramento since I was born. And, you know, our family went to St. Paul Baptist Church, and I really hadn't heard of Wose until probably maybe when I was in college. I think I started learning about Wose because I had a teacher who was giving extra credit for Black history. You know, if you go and you see these things for go to some of the Wose activities for Black History Month. And so I didn't know about Wose until then, but I had encountered Minister Imhotep when I was in high school. And I was at an NSBE conference, and he came that day and was speaking, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anybody look like him before in my life, you know? He was just this tall man with these long locks, and he was giving us all this kind of information about our history. And I was just amazed. I was sitting kind of in the back of the room, out in the middle of the forest, like learning about myself. And I was just so amazed about the whole thing. And then when I did get to college, I came to a couple of the Black History Month programs. 1 year I had heard about Kwanzaa, I went there. 1 year Sister Grace had a thing at the Meadowview Community Center. I went there. I used to work at the Sacramento Natural Foods Co-op. I ran into Brother Tahuti there. I had an ankh at that time. And he started talking to me about that and started saying, you know, hey, we have a church. I had encountered also Ronald Turner in my junior college, and you know, as he was trying to recruit me to be in the Army, I was like, no, sir, you really have the wrong person. And I tried to explain that to him, and he didn't. He kept saying, no, sister, come, you know, take the test and whatnot. It took a while, and then after we finally talked, he came to my house, and he, you know, was talking to me about my scores and whatnot. And he realized after talking to me that, okay, no, you don't belong in the Army. And so, and he gave me, and he said, let me give you some books, and I want you to read these books, sister. It's 2000 Seasons. It's Destruction of Black Civilization. It's the Hosea. It's Stolen Legacy. And he wrote those down for me. And those are my encounters before I even stepped foot in Wose. And so when I finally got there, the first time I came to Wose, I came with a friend who also went to St. Paul. And I'm more open-minded because she came and she was like, I don't see any Bibles. I don't know. And so she wanted to go. So in my mind, I said, look, you know, okay, I'm gonna go with you because you drove me here, but I'm coming back. And the next time I came back, I of course came by myself because I was like, I want to be able to sit there and listen to what's being said. And I tell you, I started seeing all these people that I had been seeing all my life and not knowing that this is where they all congregated. And from there, my life just continued. It was just Wose, Wose, Wose. And Wose has been a beautiful blessing to me and my family. Wose has been an anchor. Wose has been a wealth of knowledge and support. Wose is where I have met so many people that have helped me to blossom and bloom in my life. Wose has just been like the most positive place that I have been in my entire life. St. Paul was great. It was a great foundation for my spiritual growth. But as I grew to Wose. And there's a time when you have to know for yourself, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And coming to Wose, I felt at home. I felt at peace. I felt like these are my people, you know? And I thank Wose ever so much. Like, from the time I walked in that first day to the time now, I could say the growth is immense. And I would encourage anyone who hadn't been at Wose before, whose first time is coming on the Zoom, for you to just reflect, because that's where anniversaries are. Anniversaries are going back to the beginning and reflecting to that time when you first said yes, that time when you first said, okay, this is what I want to do. Because normally when we think of anniversaries, we're like, oh, the anniversary of my marriage or some type of relationship. And that's exactly what this is. Right now is the celebration of the Wose relationship. The Wose relationship of us to each other, us to our African community, and us to the world. And so as it started in Oakland and as it's moving forward and came to Sacramento, I'm so thankful you guys came to Sacramento. I just want to say thank you to everyone who who've I encountered at Wose. Those friends that we have now and those friends that we have lost along the way. Wose is the place that lifts our hearts and minds. You know, we sing these songs, but they're so true. They're so true because we get to hear about ourselves. We get to learn about our spirituality. We get to have relationships with each other. We get to go through good and we get to go through bad. You know, it wasn't all rainbows and fairies and unicorns, you know, but the Most High has called us to relationship. The Most High has called us to be there for one another and learn how to be unified, whether we agree on every single detail or whether we disagree on a little bit of things. We all have to agree to be free and to try to do that together, united. And that's the only way that we're going to accomplish it. You know, Harriet Tubman shows us this, you know, that we can't be just free by ourselves. We have to go back and lend our hand to one another. And so I thank you, Wose. I love you, Wose. I'm so happy and inspired every single Sunday. Every single time Wose comes about, I'm inspired. I feel love and peace, and I'm so thankful for all the years that everybody has sacrificed to have Wose be, all the struggles and all of the times that it wasn't so happy and whatnot because our relationships were strained or whatnot. We learned in that moment to love God. We learned in that moment to unify. We learned in that moment to forgive. We learned in that moment to move forward. And we learned in these moments of life and of relationship that we need to stick together. We have to stick together. We are who we have. And I'm so thankful for it all. Every single bit of it, every single interaction I've had with every single one of you. I give thanks for every single day. And so right now I'm going to open it up. Minister Motep said he wants other people to have thoughts and to try to keep it under a minute. So we could try that. It's hard, but try. Okay, so if you do have a comment, please unmute yourself. And
I'd like
go
Thank
ahead.
you, sister. Thank you, Sister Alicia. This is Sister Doris Alkebalon. For those of you who don't see me, Wose Sacramento allowed that my boyfriend could move to Sacramento and then we could get married. And so that was all a part of the plan, I guess, the Most High. And Wose being in Sacramento and Oakland allowed it so that he wasn't down at the bus stop preaching to people, and telling them history. So he had a place to deliver that. And also just the balance, the love that I see that we have for Wose and what it does. And having two sons who thought, whatever your parents are doing, or, that Wose, when someone asked them, what are you? And we have to say you're a child of God, because the Wose theology understands the universe. And so seeing Imhotep leave church in his church clothes and going to the soccer fields to be with his kids and to be someplace else. And they would say, and whether they might have been embarrassed at first, they have a lot of pride to know that their father was always there and that he knew who he was. And so Wose Sacramento, I've known it all along, and since I was 19 years old when Wose started. So I'm glad it's here. I'm glad it's a venue for us to do the work of the Most High. Thank you. Love you all.
Any others?
I'm new to Wose, and I started in Wose, Oakland as a musician. And when I first saw Minister Imhotep, my feeling was, wow, what a powerful energy. And he invited me to come out to Sac, and I said, I can't, because the 2 Sundays I'm not here, I have to take my lady to church. But I just want to say that since this COVID and this Zoom meeting, I've been able to benefit from the presence of Wose Sacramento and Wose Oakland. And I so much love it, you have no idea. And I just want to say, I love Wose. And that's it. And happy anniversary.
Blessings. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Rudy Wangozzi, and I just want to say blessings to Wose. Happy anniversary. And hearing Sister Doris and, as Brother Imhotep said, I knew them before they got married. They were kids. I was at their wedding. I knew them before they had kids, and now their kids, all their kids and my kids are adults. And so that's just a great thing. And Wose, the longevity is just really impressive. I'm impressed with the longevity, and it's got to continue. 1980 is when I first found about Wose, and that was 40 years ago. Don't seem like no time. So 2060 is 40 years from now. That might seem like a long time, but that's no time. So we're preparing, and the 60 to 70 in America seems to be a monumental decade somehow. 1860 to 1870 was, 1960 to 1970 was. So we're trying to get ourselves where we're not in the same position vis-a-vis the rest of America, economically and socially and politically, as we were in 1960. 2060 to 2070 might still be a turbulence, but we want to be in a much better situation. And so we got to plan now and work now and educate our kids now and teach the children now, so that in 2060, I won't be here, but my kids and grandkids I'll be 108, so I won't be able to influence anything if I am. So, but people are going to be here, and that's not far from now. And I just appreciate the Wose's longevity, and I want to see you still around in 2060. Love and blessings and power, light, and grace, Wose.
Power, light, and grace.
Love you, Rudy. Thank you.
Hey, I just want to say this is Shim, and like I've been associated, been a member about, well, I can say in 1987 for sure. It's I was more introduced to Wose, but before that, but I remember at the airport when Sister Kuki Chakalia and Brother Natambu and Brother Lazelle was on our way to Kemet in 1987 to Ascot.
Wow.
So I've been kind of associated with Wose ever since. I met Wose as a vendor, doing vending. They get an event one evening, that's how I was introduced to them. And so I've been a part of Wose for those number of years. I've been in and out, and I'm very happy that I'm still here today to breathe and see I'm still part of Wose. And I'm going to continue being part of Wose as we build, because we need to keep building, and we need to get back into our core history, as the brother presentation said to us. And so I just want to say I'm happy, and I'm happy to see all these faces I've been seeing for a number of years, and they've been seeing my face. We've been getting along. We ain't had no problem, not too much anyway. They've been minor, but they're the minor one we put to the side, and we're going to measure when that's coming together in unity. Because I love unity. That's what I live for. You know, nothing better than that. You know. So thank you, Wose, and thank you all the people who have been part of my life. And I stop there. Thank you.
I just want to say that the spiritual journey that one takes makes you really appreciate Wose. Being born and raised in the Christian church with a strong Christian mother. But as I grew in knowledge, I knew I could not remain there. And then I was attracted to the Nation of Islam because it gave you a sense of manhood and militancy. But as I began to grow in knowledge about Arabs being enslavers of African people as well, I knew I couldn't stay there. But once I went to Wose, I started off in Oakland, moved to Sacramento in 2006. I knew I had found my spiritual home. And so once again, we'll say thank you for 35 years of dedication, devotion, love, and inspiration.
Ashe Wose, it's Baba Damu, Sudi Ali, and congratulations, and God bless and inspire Wose forever until eternity. I've been a part of the community since around 1982, and it's been such a blessing to be a part of Wose. I just like to say I was so spiritually filled by the message by Baba Kaba Kamene. What a soul-stirring message. It made me hopeful. It made me happy. It just filled me with everlasting faith and love for our community and for our people. So thank you to Baba Kaba Kamene for the message. Thank you, Minister Imhotep, for bringing this beautiful service to us. And I just like to say to Baba AJ and Baba, I forget the brother's name, Baba Shashim, yes. Baba Shashim, and now that I recognize you, thanks for reaching out to me. I recognize your voice, and we had a conversation. I will reach back out to you the way you reached out to me. Thank you for that. And to Baba AJ, I will reach back out to you. I received your text message. I've been busy, but I will get back in touch with you.
Good, thanks.
Thank you. What was that?
Minister Imhotep.
Right. Are you doing unbelievable?
I'm still unbelievable, man. 35 years. I remember the day I first met you, and the blessing you have brought to me and my wife and my family is just amazing. And that day I met you at the community center back in '92 at the Black History meeting, my wife said when she first saw you, she thought you was a Black Jesus. So, so when Sister Teasley said that, it was amazing. Man, I remember the day I remember the day I left you in August of '97. Your message to me was to go forward to spread heresy. And my brother, I left the building in '97, but my heart and my mind and my body has been with you and with Wosei every day. And to Sister Teasley, I'm still giving out those notes. And Sister Doris, I love you guys.
Love you.
My wife and I cannot repay the gift that you have given to us. And I wish we were there with you.
You are, Ronnie. You are, man. We miss your snacks.
Looking good.
Yeah, we miss your snacks. And,
You
wow.
and Emma both, somehow somebody got this gray on your chin. Were you eating?
Yes, on chin. I love you guys. Happy anniversary. Keep doing what you're doing.
Good thanks. Good thanks.
Well, I want to say happy anniversary, Wosei Sack.
Oh.
And, you know, it's always a great pleasure to come up to SAC, Wosei, to share with you and, you know, just keep up what we're doing, because we're, like the professor said, it is great and it is important. But one of the things too I'd like to say is that my children were very fortunate to come up through Wosei, my sons, because they saw just shining examples of manhood. You know, not only men who they didn't just see, they saw, you know, what you were doing. They saw you taking care of your families. They saw your intelligence, and so they had something to model from. And so one of the greatest gifts that I gave my children was Wosei, and they always have their stories of Wosei. And they have great stories about Minister and Motep, and they appreciate you. And so just, you know, congratulations, Wosei SAC, 35 years. How fabulous.
Right.
I'm Latrice, member of the Oakland Wosei. A lot of you don't know that I also grew up part-time in Sacramento, and in my 20s was doing poetry and music, and that's how I first encountered Wosei, going to Mahogany Poetry Nights. Some of y'all on the line may remember that, still going, but I had gone to a service and just felt an immense amount of gratitude and love, but wasn't ready, right? And then eventually moved to Oakland, and had been hearing about Wosei Oakland and wanting to attend, and finally, like, everything just lined up, and I found my husband. I found a loving, supportive community for my older son before Sankara was here, and then of course Sankara came as well. But it's the community and the spirit of Wosei that I am forever grateful for. And so I know that I've reached out to community in dark times, and no matter who I've called on and no matter the time of day, someone is always willing and ready to support and pray. And so though there's Wosei Sacramento and Wosei Oakland, it is, you know, one divine community, and I give thanks for all of you, and happy anniversary.
I said what she said.
Thank you for that. Love the singing.
I just want to say, you know, when it comes to the history of Wosei, I'm probably the worst person to ask about it, because I didn't keep any history. I was just involved with trying to survive from one week to the next, trying to you know, gain knowledge myself about what is this sacred African way, what is this way of Mat, and then trying to develop, you know, some words to share in our worship services from week to week. And so, you know, recording the history, and, you know, just, I didn't have time for that. I just didn't have capacity for that. But was glad to see us get a community going in Sacramento, and just not having any idea how it was going to go. But you know, based on the nearly 5 years that we had in Oakland, it was like, well, this has to be good. I know my life was better, and you know, the experience that I'm getting today, the feeling I'm getting today, listening to people saying how Wose has meant so much to their life, whether they were in Oakland or Sacramento, is rewarding and feeling to me that, okay, you know, that's some history that's resonating with me. It's not on paper. I can't share it with anybody except in these words. And I just give thanks for the dedication, the diligence of Minister Imhotep. You know, he's a reader, profound reader, and he's finding ways to share that information. Giving thanks for Minister Lizelle. I don't know if he's still in contact here, but you know, for the time that he spent in a leadership role in Sacramento before he moved back to good old Mississippi. But again, just to hear the folks expressing their appreciation, their uplift, their spiritual strengthening that Wose has given to them, and the work that Brother Minister Imhotep, and supported by Queen Sister Doris, and all of you, and Minister Alicia, it's just uplifting to me, and it's just so, you know, there isn't any better way that I could have spent my years of life, and I'm looking forward to even more. Brother Rudy was talking about some additional years. I shared it at Wose Oakland's 37th anniversary. I said we were 37 when we started Wose, and I'm happy to be here for this 37th anniversary. And I'm looking for prayers, and I'm expecting to be around another 37. I'll only be 111, so I'm looking forward to that. And just again, giving real appreciation and thanks to the Most High for Wose Sacramento, or the Gadsden Sam's family. Ooh, my heart is touched by Sister Shamalia and Shingarai, and remembering Mama Valeria. But Brother Imhotep, whew, man, you're awesome. You're awesome. Just keep up the good work, brother. Ashe.
Well, sisters and brothers, I'm glad that we could come together, that we've been here for 35 years. I just want to, I received this note from a youth this morning, just to show you, it's kind of in line with what Kaba, Hiawatha Kamene was saying. And hey, what did you think about Kaba? What do you guys think about that guy? Yeah, he's and you can catch him on the Philippe Matthews show. You know, you can search him. I mean, he's done a lot in his career in educating our people. So that's why I wanted to have him on. So I got this message from a youth, somebody that I've watched grown up. He didn't grow up in Wose, but he grew up in the larger African community of Sacramento. He's a very, very brilliant youth. His brother got a Super Bowl ring. Both of his parents are medical doctors. He's a very thoughtful and brilliant youth. He got his law degree from UCLA, and he wrote me this morning, and he said, "How are things in your world, Emo? I'm trying to figure out what more I need to do to help Black and brown people in pursuit of true justice. Really expected my legal degree to find me some answers, but it only demonstrated how ingrained and solidified that oppression and misconception are for controlling people in this country. So, you know, you can have all of the things that society says that you have, but still the justice is not the law of the land. We're still in a land barren of equality. And so this just shows that we still have more work to do. I tried to answer him in this way. I said, I'm uplifted in mind and spirit to know that a great one such as you are pursuing justice. In this land barren of equality, we need people like you. I can only say, study Mott and how it can be applied individually and collectively. Dr. Theophile Obenga created this matrix in the 90s, and then Dr. Asa G. Hilliard arranged it in this way in his book, Saba, The Reawakening of the African Mind. Then we added this artwork. I suggest studying it. Also, ending white supremacy is about bringing about justice. So you can go to our website on wosesac.com to see the matrix that I'm talking about, and it has 25 dimensions of Mott. Talks about people. So it looks at the sacred, the cosmic, the state, the society, the human, the religious, the cosmic, the political, the social, the anthropological. We still have a great work to do. I'm happy that we have gone this far. Many people did not think we would last a year. When we moved to Sacramento, there were people that just didn't want to have anything to do with it. Now they call us for special things. And so we just have to be consistent. We have to help all our people as much as we can. That's our duty. When I first came to Wose, what Bill and Makalisi said, and this is in the original Wose handbook, the role of Wose is to build a people and create community. And we've done that. We've done that, not in the way that we thought necessarily, but we've done that. But now we need to be in the work of refining that. We need in the work of refining how we build a people, how we create community, and how we educate both old and young. And so perhaps the next 35 years should be about that. I'm glad we have such people as Minister Amadi, Reverend Malley. I love the work that Brother Tayemba does, what Sister Darnisha does, what they're doing at Ile Omide School, the work that Ndada and Bill and Minister Alicia and all of the people. If I name everybody, I'm going to leave people out. Brother Damani, but we just need to keep going. We need to keep building. Babylon, the forces of Isfet have shown us that they are not going to stop being evil. And so we have to not stop being good. And we need to come together, as it says in, hey, Stiley, as it says in 2000 Seasons, to not to coach the desert, but to come together, the waters coming together to overwhelm the desert. And that's what you are. You're overwhelming the desert. I'm going to say we should end now. I know Brother Charles had to leave. Brother Rudy, can you play Lift Every Voice and Sing as we close today? Rudy? Guess he might make, I see his name up, but hey, can you
I'm here.
play
Can you hear
Lift
me?
Every Voice? Yeah,
Yes, I
can you
will
play
play
Lift Every Voice?
I will
Give
do
thanks.
that. Hold on. Yes, sir. Hold on for a second here. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, beautiful. We have.
And keep it out of the NFL. I don't want to hear it in front of the NFL games. We
I
don't
don't either.
need them
I don't
playing
either,
our
Rudy.
song. That's our anthem. We ain't
That's
giving
right.
it to them.
That's right.
Okay, I'm off the soapbox. Peace and blessings.
It's a sacred thing. And now to them, let us join hands. And now to them who is able to lift us up faultlessly before the throne on high, may they empower us to be a people with one aim, one vision,
One vision.
One vision.
one faith,
One
faith.
faith.
one destiny,
One
One
destiny.
destiny.
one love,
One
One love.
one heart,
One
One heart.
one God.
One
God.
God.
Let us call upon the name of that one God as our ancestors and elders have done for countless generations, for time immemorial. Let us all say together,
Amen. Ra.